Good evening, guys. And this is our AlgoGyaan session around APIs. So the first and foremost question for me today is, what is a dApp? Anybody can answer. Akash, Mayuk, Neha, Vishal. What is a dApp?
Shall I answer or let others?
Nana, go ahead, please answer.
Centralized application.
Okay, Vishal said decentralized application. But what exactly does it mean? I mean, my Google Chrome can be considered as a decentralized application? Yes or no?
No, Chrome is the client.
Okay, then why decentralized? What is different in decentralized application?
So the transactional data will be on the decentralized manner. Will be
Okay,
decentralized.
so Mayuk said that an app that interacts with blockchain. You said that transactional data this sits on blockchain or something, right? But
Yes, yes.
that means if I'm just creating a React JS front end and using a Node.js backend, which ultimately is talking to my smart contract. Which application is considered as a dApp? React.js or Node.js?
Uh, the whole application will be like dApp, right? The whole stack will be a dApp because
How?
React will work as a client.
But that's a server client application. No, you are absolutely right. It's a client server application, regular web 2 application.
Mhm.
Because it is talking to a blockchain, ultimately you are talking to blockchain via an RPC URL, basically your API only, right? The regular ways we do APIs. And what is different in dApp, which is not there in the other applications? It's an
So in
interesting.
that,
Yeah, go ahead, Mayuk.
like wallet address, any transaction is issued by a wallet address, and any transaction happen on blockchain.
But I am not doing anything from front end. Everything is being managed at the Node.js level. So my wallet creation, the transactions between the wallet and the smart contract, everything is being handled on the Node.js side. Then can you consider React.js as a dApp or not? Because React.js is just calling the APIs and getting back the result.
Maybe we are not interacting with the centralized system. We are like
Okay, so I'm creating an HTML page which is not connecting to blockchain, which is not connecting to any centralized server. What page will you call that page? And you can say centralized, decentralized, it is nothing. So now listen to this, guys. dApp is not just an application which connects to blockchain, which might be using your wallet and talking to your blockchain network and doing transactions and all. No. Typically, a dApp is, let's say, the way we have been developing is our sandbox application me. So where is sandbox located for me?
it's on your local system.
Yeah, that is on my local server, right? Now, if I am creating an application which is talking to the same deployment, which is over my sandbox or within my local environment, what actually is the mechanism or architecture over here? Client server, but both client and server are located at the same place. That means what happened over here is the application itself is a client and itself is a server. That means it is both.
Yes.
Normally, this is not the case. Normally, we have server somewhere else. Maybe not physically, I'm saying. At least the other part of the application or anything will be different, right? Over here, that is not the case. That means you can create a simple application which is trying to connect with your smart contract. Now, you will say that happens with regular applications also. Or in dApp also, the smart contract is deployed on Sandbox, which is an AlgoGyaan node, and your front end maybe in HTML, React.js, or anything else. Then how is it different? Still, it is locally deployed. You can still connect to the network also if you change your network to test network without changing your code, without talking to anything. Now, in a different scenario, in this sandbox environment, if you are running a test node on your machine, then what will happen? Then your application is running locally, which is talking to your node only, but still you are connected to the entire internet, entire blockchain network. Yes or no?
Yes. It is
That
connected.
is,
Yeah.
yes, So that is the exact definition of a dApp, where the client, server, everything is located at the same place. The source code, everything which you have done is yours only. Still, you are connected to the blockchain. Still, you are using all the features of blockchain. This is a truly decentralized application. In normal cases, we don't work like that. And that's why we have various varieties where I said that everything can be handled from the back end, the wallet transactions and everything. So that is right now we are in the era of Web 2.5, where we are not directly migrating to Web 3.0. We are not either in the Web 2.0 part anymore, but in middle somewhere where we are leveraging the blockchain as a technology by keeping the user's interface simple. Like today, if I ask you, Mayuk, if you are using a React.js application and where you are connected your Para wallet, and then if a transaction fires, where do you have to go to finish the transaction?
So the finished transaction MetaMask wallet, the wallet, sir.
Para wallet, to mean to say.
Yes, sir. Para
Right?
wallet. Yes, sir.
MetaMask is for Ethereum, for us is Para wallet. So you have to go
Yes,
to Para wallet. Yes. Now, by any chance, if you
you
click,
have to sign the transaction. Yes, sir.
pardon?
Yes. Yes, at the Para
Yeah,
wallet.
by any chance, if you click anywhere else, what normally happens to these interfaces of web-based wallets? You don't know what happened to the transaction. You are seeing at a screen which is not moving ahead. You know that you have clicked, so you try to click again, being a human, and maybe one more time. And all these transactions will pile up somewhere else we are not even visiting. Why? Because there is somewhere else in some other interface. Now, do you really think that every single internet user will be able to use this kind of behavior over internet? No. And that's where the newer technology or the newer applications which are being built, they are doing this 2.5 version where people can keep the interaction very similar to Web 2.0, but still adding the flavor of Web 3.0. Right? Myth clear? And any doubt?
Yes, we are taking best of both the worlds.
Yes, we are taking best of both the worlds so that we don't end up into doing something which we don't want to do.
Yes.
Right? All right. So now let us start my terminal and let us create one folder. So I'll do that. I'll go git init. Make my screen is visible, right?
Yes.
Okay, then we are going to select the playground template and I'll give the name AlgoGyaan API Python, something like this. Okay. Why? Okay, so our application is running. We know that if you go to the playground folder, we will go to the Hello World part and we will see the Hello World application normally. And this application is basically our first step into Algorand blockchain. We had this demo.py also, where the connections are being mentioned, the local host AlgoD node 4001, and the rest of the code. But now, today, what we are trying to do is, we are trying to interact with an application which is already deployed using this code. So what is the first step? My first step is to run this code, first of all. So we get that Hello World deployed over our local sandbox environment. All right. So now we are at that place where we have deployed the application and the app ID is also given to us. And this error also. Why this error? We know that that error is basically an error for Windows. This has nothing to do with Algorand code. This is simply an error because of policy setting in your machine. So I'll just do that and we are good to go. Now I'll run this one more time. The reason is we are still not activated the virtual environment over here due to this policy issue. So what I'll do is I'll try to activate this PS1 so that we get now the exec and virtual environment. Python 3.11 is my virtual environment. If you have ever created an application and this folder is not created .venv, you will not be able to deploy, right? You have to then manage a lot of things. You have to run that AlgoKit bootstrap and all. Otherwise you will get AlgoKit module error, AlgoKit utils error and all. And the errors will keep on adding to the pipe, right? So now what I need is, I need code first of all. So I need a file. So I'll add one more file over here, new file, and I'll make that file, let's say API python.py. Right now, what do I need? So I told you earlier that we are trying to create something which is sort of a Web 2.5 scenario, where the front end users don't even realize that they are talking to blockchain. So how will we do that? So first of all, if you are aware that what we have imported till now, so we have imported these 3 items. Yes, we know that it is mandatory for us to import, otherwise we'll not be able to talk to the blockchain, Algorand Smart Contract. So these we have done. But to create an API, what do we need? We need a server. So in Python, there are 2 basic servers. One is your Flask and the other is Django. So Django is basically an MVC architecture, model view controller. So today we are going to use Flask, right? So for Flask, in order to do that, we are going to import these many packages from here, right? Now, as soon as I copied, started to give me an error. Of course, we know that. Why? Because Flask RESTful and Flask course, nothing we have installed yet. So what we can do is we can start installing step by step all the modules. So I'll do pip install. First of all, I need Flask. So I'll install pip install Flask. Okay, that is done. Now I'll do pip install Flask underscore RESTful. Okay, meanwhile, Meet, you can let us know what's a RESTful API.
It is a representation of response.
So how is it different from the other APIs or REST API?
Different from other, like it gives the representation of the data which has been sent from the server.
Yes. So basically RESTful and the regular, right? REST API. So RESTful basically maintains your state and all. So
Yes.
if you go ahead, guys, it is very mandatory, very important for you to understand what is the difference between REST and RESTful APIs. Because in RESTful APIs, you will have put, while in regular REST APIs, you don't have a put and all. So all these different things are there. You can go ahead and study them in detail because you will need all this information while working with APIs. So most of the people who are working in blockchain, they think that, okay, if I write the smart contract, that is over. Okay, I know blockchain. No, that is just the first step. After writing the smart contract, the next step is you are supposed to write down the layer, the API layer. You are supposed to write down the front end layer, the wallet integration, and then the final step, right? So now we know that all the errors are gone. All the required packages are installed or libraries are installed for us. As a next step, what are we trying to achieve? So first of all, I'm supposed to create a class, right? So this is a very simple get API. So you can see that I have created a class called Hello World. And in that is a simple resource because we are trying to have an abstract RESTful API we are trying to create. So it's just an abstract, right? And what is the definition of this one? It's a get API self. That means no arguments in there. It is just calling and return. So what are we returning? Hello from Algorand. So technically speaking, this API is nothing to do with blockchain. Yes. Why? Because this is a simple API which can work without even blockchain. Why? Because this has nothing to do. Right now, we have not introduced any sort of wallet or Algorand or the local host or anything. But if I run, what will happen? If I run this code, let's try to do that. Python and what is the name? API python.py. Oh, so, okay, I missed a certain piece of code. That's why it is not working. What do we need is this one. And one more line. Just a second, guys.
It is nothing but we are adding the routes to.
Yes, we are adding the routes.
Because
so it is there. What we are trying to add is we are trying to create a route over here. Now, what is a route? So Meet, can you please explain what's a root?
Basically, it's like a path which can be recognized by server, which API will be called. Like based on the signature of that route, server will understand the function he wants to like call. It wants to call.
Yes. So
It
basically, if you have ever worked or if you are visited a website, if you go ahead and take a look at, let's say if I am visiting over here right now, this particular, let's say Depflow, this website, right? If I go to resources part, you can see that the links keep on changing. So this is basically a root. So root basically is your, you can say blueprint of your entire website or whatever we are going. So for us also as an API developer, we need to make sure that whenever people type this kind of link in their HTTP client, they will be able to land over here. Where? In this particular place. Right? How they will be able to do that? From this one. So this is a simple class. Over there, there is a very simple function which is returning a string variable. Then we have added the resource over there. So we have created, we have passed this particular app to the Flask. So basically it will keep running as a server, right? Flask server for us. And that API we have utilized under the API. So we passed that object of API into an API. And then we are adding this particular resource. Which is the resource? The get root over there. And the get root is just a get and post are methods. But what do we need? We need a keyword to activate this particular piece of code. And for that, API.add_resource, we are just using hello. Right? And over here, the class. So if somebody lands over here, what it's supposed to be execute? This is supposed to be execute. Right? Now let us see whether whatever we have done is working or not. So let us run this code. Yes, it is there. 127.0.1, 5000. So if I go ahead and open my Postman, and if I click over new one, then I just need to type down the address. .0.0.1 5000/hello world. So this is the one. If I click on send, you'll be able to see that we are getting the result from an API. Fine. This is a simple Python API, Flask API. Okay. Now, as a second step, what do we need? We need now Algorand data. Not now, step by step, we will try to do whatever we are doing in the smart contract in the demo.py file. We are trying to do that over here. So over here, I have created one more class, right? And I'll copy the entire thing and then I'll explain step by step what we have done over here. All right, guys. So this is a post method, right? So over there, you can see that there is an argument also. That means we are sending something from the front end or from wherever you are calling this particular API. So it is expecting an argument. Now, this is a pretty specific code when we are doing that demo.py. You can see that this is the same code over there. We are building the file. We are passing the AlgoD client over there. We are saying that 4001. Okay, that is we are connected to the sandbox environment. Then we are trying to connect the wallet, right? We are trying to have the first account from sandbox. The out of the three wallets we are there, we have been given to, right? Then we have created the app client so that ultimately it allows us to deploy the smart. But then this is something new because this is not there in the demo.py. If I go ahead and open that demo.py, this is okay. Till this part, it is okay. But then over here, it is deploying the application. But as I told you, we have already deployed the application. We don't want to redeploy the application, right? That means what we are trying to do is we are trying to connect to an application which is already deployed. So over here in this API.py, you can see that I have passed the API client.app ID equals to 1148. Now, what is 1148? 1148 is the application ID which we have just deployed. So I need to go to that hello world where we have deployed, and you can see that the application ID is 1154. So what you can do is you can change the name of 1148 to 1154, and we are good to go. So whatever we have developed, whatever application we had deployed under that hello world, now we are talking to that application directly, 1154. Clear up to now? Meet any doubts?
No, pretty clear now.
Then we are going next. So call underscore response. This is basically a variable. What am I doing? I'm calling the application, or I'm calling the smart contract. So over here call, what am I calling exactly? Hello method. And we know that we need to pass argument also. So I'm passing that argument, whatever I'm getting, right? What is this arguments, this ARGS variable coming from? From this one. So whenever somebody is calling this post API, whatever argument they have passed, it will come over here under the ARGS, and it will be assigned to what? Name. And we all know what happens. How can we find out? We can go ahead and check the build.py, and over here, or demo.py, hello and beaker. And we know that the value will be hello beaker because the name is already statically given. But over here in this API Python, we are expecting this variable coming from the API call. So we are passing that one, and we are passing from, assigning that value to name. Then whatever response we have returned from blockchain, not from the regular front end, back end, nothing. This is directly talking to your smart contract. And then over here, call underscore response dot return underscore value. That means whatever value we got, we are trying to return that value from API. So now what is happening? You are talking to smart contract using this particular account, but your front end user is completely unaware that this particular application is talking to a blockchain, right? For him or her, it is simply something which is there, right? It is a normal application. Then at the last one, because we are supposed to add this route also, we have added the previous route, but we have not added the newer route. So what will I do? I'll go back to my original code. I'll copy the second one. So now I have created one more route over here. Right? And that is particularly hello. So whenever you call this function hello, what will it anticipate? It will anticipate that somebody will call this hello 127.0.1 colon 5000 / hello. And then as an argument, you can see that it's a placeholder. So as an argument, we are anticipating a string variable. Clear? Meet? Any doubts?
No, everything is fine.
So ultimately, what am I trying to showcase you guys is one application which is completely an application which has nothing to do with blockchain. Get. What is that function? Get function. But other function which I have created, which is a post function, which is expecting a value from front end, from postman, from wherever, and the data or the information, it is being pulled from the smart. Right? Now, time to test. Right? So just give me a moment. Over here, what I need to do, because I need to stop the server first because we have made changes and all. So I'll save this file. I'll run this code again. And I'll go to my postman. And this time, I'll open something more. I'll change from here, get to post. I'll write down the URL 127.0.1 colon 5000 / hello. But then I'm passing a value, let's say, because we are calling from API. So I'm passing API call from postman, let's say. And if I click on send, what technically is supposed to return? We all know that. Hello, then API call from postman. Let's see whether that works or not. Yes. Hello, API call from postman. That means we are talking to our smart contract. which is deployed on our own local network, we have created an API layer which has all the things necessary required, like wallet and the RPC URL and everything, right? And we have generated this one. So without any sort of wallet integration, still we are able to talk to our deployment of smart contracts. If you go back to Visual Code, you can see that there is a post application or there is a post call listed over here with 200. That means there was a successful call. Clear, guys? Anybody, any doubt?
No, this is amazing thing to use the smart contract in API, I think.
Yes. So you don't need to redeploy the contracts again and again. You don't need to have that Python file. Just create an API layer and use Postman, right? But then what if I want to create a simple HTML? So guys, I'm not a React.js developer, so I cannot create that. So that's why I've created a very simple HTML page also. So if we want to put this one under that HTML page also, then how will it work? Okay, so just give me a moment. I need to add a file over here. Oh, not this one. First one. Come on. Yeah. Okay, so I've added a file called API call.html. Right, the HTML code is pretty simple. There are two text boxes and the button. One text box to enter the value and the other is to display the result. The same way we did with Postman. Over here, there is an asynchronous function called API call. And over here, this is the way you can call a post API in HTML. Very simple HTML. Now, if you think, guys, you don't know how to write down this code and all, don't worry. Go to Postman, click over here on this particular part, code, and from here, you can select everything what you want. See. So if you go ahead with JavaScript, just select this one, JavaScript patch, and the code is ready. Right? So you have to make sure that which language you want to use the code from. See, there are too many languages over here. Even R, Python, every other language, even PowerShell. You want to call from a terminal, you can, right? So let us go back to my code. And over here, I am expecting or I'm extracting the value from this text box and to the names variable. And then from here, the same code which I have just showcased you guys, I'm putting the data back to the second text box. So from this particular place, it will have the result. So you can see that result is being assigned to the text box, second text box. Clear? So two text boxes, one text box accepts the value, second text box gives you answer. But directly from where? Directly from your backend, directly from your smart, without any sort of wallet integration. You can see that there is no wallet listed over here. There is nothing over here. It is just plain simple HTML code where I am just trying to call the hello, the API hello, which is supposed to give me back the same way it gave an answer in the Postman, right? So let us go ahead and run this page. So I'll open with live server and I'm going to utilize this one. And let's see what happens over here. So I'm saying that HTML says hello. Let's see. Click me. Let us go to inspect. Let us go to console. And there is an error. So this is your forte. What is this no access control allow origin error?
I think port is different.
No, that's not a port problem. That's a course problem. CORS.
Cross origin, yeah.
Yes. So basically, guys, we are sending some data on an unsecured environment and an HTTP one. So you can see that your connection to this site is not secure. And that's why this is a basic security mechanism. That's why what do we need is we need a code in the Python file to manage this one. So what do we need is we need to add this line over there. Believe me, guys, it took me a while to find out that exactly what needs to be added to solve this problem. So just add this. So for that, you can see that we have already installed the Flask underscore course. So you have to install this package, you have to import this library, and you have to pass this. Otherwise, it will not work with your HTML page. It will keep on giving you this course error unless and until you deploy on a server, on an HTTPS server and calling from there. Then otherwise it will not have the error, right? So now it is restarting because we saved the file. It restarted automatically. Now let us go and test this thing again. HTML says hello and click me. And voila, we got the result. HTML, hello, HTML says hello. So this particular thing now is we are receiving from blockchain, right? And how can you make sure that it is calling? You can go ahead and check because this particular API, anyways, we have not transaction ID and we have not printed and all, but you can make sure that you can print the transaction ID also. You can try somewhere that, okay, the call is being there. You can connect to app.deflow maybe if we are able to see that wallet transactions happening or not. So let me connect to the local wallet. So 1154. So we need to find out 1154 is which wallet. This is the one. 3W1. So I need the key for this one, or maybe let's see. We want to connect to this one. So I'll disconnect from this wallet. I'll connect Dev wallet. So 3W is the one, and you can see in the asset manager. Not application manager, sorry. So 1154, the application we just created. And if you open that, maybe we are able to see the transactions also over there. Application 1, 3W. Let's see whether we are able to see one more over here right now, because this 1154, you can see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means 5 times this application is already called. The block number is this one. Don't worry about the age because it is a test and sandbox environment. So the age can be different. My point is you can see that wallet address, which is calling all these things, and it is talking to 1154, right? So let's see whether we are able to see the one more 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we are supposed to see the 6th one also, hopefully. So now let's say Meet today is fantastic. Anyways, you are always fantastic, but just for today, I'm saying it. So click me, and yes, it is there. Now let us go over here. Let's see whether one more transaction is listed over here or not. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So Meet, you have successfully called the blockchain smart contract function using an API and using a completely decentralized. And now this HTML page, Meet, can you consider this page as a decentralized application?
Yes, completely.
No.
But I'm
technically no, but yes, if you follow me, yes. Why? Because this is talking to a local environment.
right.
Deployment and everything is in my particular machine. That means I am behaving as a server. I am behaving as a client. And because it is a sandbox environment and we are not running a test network, so we will not be able to see the data. But if both of us are running test network, we will be able to see the same. We will be able to use the same application in our respective machines
Right.
without even hosting this application anywhere in the world. That is the true sense of decentralized replication, where you are not supposed to even host, but still you are able to connect with the entire network, right? So if I change this network over here right now, even in this one, let's say demo.py, we are trying to connect with this one. If I change to a test network environment, this is a page and still I'll be able to use that blockchain network, right? But again, that is again a different architecture. What architecture I'm trying to explain you guys is, if you are running a test node instead of a sandbox environment in your own machine, your own computer becomes a server and the client both. And that is the true decentralized application, right? So today what we have seen a very simple HTML page, which is talking to our blockchain smart contract via an API, which we have deployed over Python, right? So you can see that one more time we have called this one, and it is again 200. That means we are talking to the to the smart contract. Okay, guys, any questions? Anybody?
No, sir.
Because of API, we will get the freedom of choosing any front end.
Yes. Now this is an API. Now do React.js, mobile application, front end, back end, whatever you want to do. Of course, for mobile, you need to host somewhere, but still, now you don't need to worry about whether this particular, let's say, somebody is a developer for that Algorand SDK is not available. What will you do over there? So what at that place, what do you need? You need an API. You don't need anything else. You need an API. At the back end, you can manage wallets and everything else. But how do you manage the call? That's where I wanted to showcase you guys that there is a very simplistic way to create an API out of a smart contract and connect with an HTML page also. Right? It is very, very simple. I mean, you cannot have anything simpler to this.
You can work in actually decentralized way, like API developer will be different, front end will
Yes,
no dependency.
no dependency. You just need that this one. Wherever somebody is developing, they will need just this one.
Right.
And the smart contract itself, not deployed, just the smart contract. This one. Not deployed because we are not deploying. From this Python file, we have not deployed anything. It is already deployed. That's why we are passing the app ID directly at 1154 rather than getting a new one. And the height of that, even if this will work with 48 also, the last one which I developed, because that is also a deployed application over my sandbox environment. So let me restart and let us check whether it still works or not. Yeah, it still works. That means an application which I have deployed just before this session to test, it is also working. And if you go to app.daflow, you'll be able to see that in the app manager, the 1148 somewhere will be there. Oh, it is not there. Where is it? Explorer 1148. Yeah, it is there. If you go to transaction, see.
Yeah.
We have just done that. 1148. So application which you have deployed yesterday, yes, unless and until you destroy your sandbox environment and do it again. Let's say how this is your sandbox environment. Well, all the nodes are working or running. So if you delete from here, then you are creating a completely new sandbox environment. Then all your deployments and your wallets and everything will be gone. And you will have something fresh. But till the time you do this, even if you are restarting and everything, your applications will stay as it is. Right? You can try it tomorrow also. But again, if you restart the Docker, just check with the previous ID. It may work, it might not work. Right? So then over that place, you need to redeploy. But again, I have not tested, so I will not commit on that because this is Docker. This has nothing to do with Algorand. So if they preserve the state of the application, you will still be able to call. All right, guys. Any other questions from anyone?
One more benefit of API that if we want to upgrade the smart contract, you just need to change the app ID. The upgrade
Yeah.
simple.
You just change over here. Let's say in this particular hello world.py or this particular thing string we are outputting, we can output one. We can have one more variable, something over here. We can change whatever the output we want. Let's say instead of hello, just hello, I can say hello from Earth, something like this. So this is a different contract now. So we just redeploy, change the name and everything will be done. So let us see that also. This is done now, but I need to stop this server or I can just open a new one and I'll deploy the code first of all. So demo.py, I'll deploy that. So we'll get a new app ID over here. Okay, I need to stop that. It is interfering us. So yeah, okay, cancel, run. So now we have a new app ID, which is 1161. So what I'll do, I'll go to my API Python. Okay, what was the thing? 1161.
61.
Okay. 1161. Save this one and just this is Python API. And let us go to the page. And okay, let us keep Sam Kapadi only and click me. And you can see that hello from Earth, Sam Kapadi.
Great.
So we have redeployed the contract, changed the app ID, and our API still works. The behavior, why? Because we have not changed the major thing over there. If we change the definition of the API or definition of the code or class, that may need a certain level of changes. Other than that, no changes, because right now we are just calling the function whatever it is returning. So for us, it is expecting a string variable, and whatever we are returning, we are returning. But if you change from string to integer, then you have to make some changes over here, or wherever we are expecting the string variable, and also over here. So instead of string, then you have to change the variable type or the data type. All right, guys. Okay, since there are no other questions, Meet, anything else from you?
No, everything is great. Great session.
Thank you. So thank you very much, guys, for your time and patience. And hopefully we will all see each other in the Algorand Impact Summit. So there will be a great opportunity for all of us to discuss, mingle, maybe discuss technically, because I'm going to take some technical sessions over there also. So you will see me a lot over there. All right, guys. So thank you very much again. Have a great weekend, and hopefully India wins the final.